Someone recently said that, defection is now more popular, more prominent than sachet water across the street, especially on the print. But that's, again, another conversation. But we'll get into all of that. Welcome to this particular edition of newspaper headlines and analysis, where we check into the print and bring you up to speed with stories that are making the rounds across the nation. Yes, of interest. There are many stories going by. But of course, the defection has been the big caption across many newsprints. The defection story talking about the APC and some alleging one party state. Maybe that's exactly the conversation. But right on so many other stories, the leadership newspaper, Nigerian Tribune, and a few others that we can capture this morning here to tell us what they are saying. Particularly, I'll start from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And on the front page, boldly inscribed on that page, you'll see plots to destabilize ADC will fail. And you want to know who said that? That's Atiku. But that story is on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. It says APC won't choose for our party. That's quoting him. Also, no aspirant will step down in our party, according to Atiku as well. It's not me. And of course, accuses APC of standing alone by default, not by merit. That's exactly what he is saying. And ADC says no agreement on presidential candidates, hints on consensus candidacy. That's exactly another conversation, especially within the party of the ADC. All of this will keep fingers crossed on, like you are seeing on your screen as well. The story we just brought to you in the news, Tinubu is naming Odushote the first female DG for Nigerian Law School. I think that's a historic something that should be celebrated perhaps by the learned fellows, and that's because she is the first female DG since about a good number of decades, actually, when the institution was created. So that seems like a good one right there. But talking tax now, new tax reform won't lead to tuition hike. That story is also one of the stories we brought to you earlier. That's coming from the federal government, saying, assuring the national station of Nigerian students that this will not affect your tuition. There's no hike in view, so just relax. Of course, we'll get into all of that as we also check some other stories that are making the rounds. But of course, Jonathan, PDP leaders meet over state of party. That is also a big caption, page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. There's been claims, speculations, innuendos, hearsays, and all of that about Jonathan joining again, to be the presidential candidate for the PDP come 2027. That is also on the table of discourse. We'll have all of those conversations right here today. But I won't do that alone, because I have with me Ignatius, who is going to help us into some of these stories. We'll we'll unpack some of these stories because there's so much to unpack today. Ignatius, good morning to you this morning.
Good morning to you and Oluwapoidu.
And you're like,
Happy New Year to you too.
Yes, it is. The Niger Delta way.
Yes, Etibo.
Etibo.
Yes.
What local government is that?
No, Etibo, that's the attire I'm wearing.
Oh, okay.
It's called Etibo in Niger Delta.
Anyway.
So the cap I'm wearing represents the Yoruba race.
Okay, that's a combination of races. Yeah. But let's get into the stories so as not to race ahead of ourselves. But of course, the issue about Atiku, I'm quite sure you are abreast of this. Atiku, ADC, all of the conversations surrounding defections as well. It says APC would not choose for their party. There's been claims, especially if you recall what the Minister of the FCC said recently, maybe about a couple of weeks back. He said that there's no, in Rivers State particularly, that there's no PDP, there's no APC. Everybody's working under something called Renewed Hope Family. So he tagged it as such. And some have come to say you have no business running into the affairs of the APC in the state. If you claim to be PDP and you're doing your anti-party activity, it doesn't make you a leader of the APC. But it seems like the same narrative right here, especially with Atiku. There's a plot that they said, allegedly, that, Atiku is willing to destabilize ADC. Others are saying that that particular plot will fail. But we can see all of this in the news. But I want to get your view. What do you make of all of this issue, especially with Atiku saying that no aspirant will step down? Because that's the party saying that no aspirant will step down. But do you think Atiku is enough to hold the party to ransom or to flag the party to success, especially come 2027 presidential elections?
From the trajectory of the narrative, and without missing words, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has never lost a presidential primaries before. Even in 1993, he was asked to step down for the late June 12 winner, Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola. The rest is history. So Atiku has never lost any presidential primaries before, though they have called him a serial loser when it comes to the issue of presidential election in this country. The same thing also applies to His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has never lost an election before, right from the level of the Senate, governorship election, then the issue of the president.
So let's go to the chase. Do
So
you think
here
he
now,
has a chance with the ADC?
the chance is there for Atiku Abubakar to emerge as the flag bearer of ADC. But I wouldn't know what is going to happen at the end of the day, because after each primaries is being conducted, you must set up what we call reconciliatory committee, because we have some people that will not be happy with the scenario. Some people will want to defect to other party. Some will choose to remain and become a political spoiler. But there is one thing I've discovered in Nigeria: the type of politics we play. We play the type of politics that is best being described as Tom and Jerry politics.
How do you mean?
Tom and Jerry politics. You know the American cartoon that we used to watch, Tom and Jerry, hide and seek game. Each political aspirant is desperate for power. Each political aspirant is selfish. There's two conditions that is required when you want to contest for election. One, popularity. Two, acceptability. It's not necessary whether you have money to fund the campaign, but a political party that want to win election does not rule out these two critical factors: popularity and acceptability.
Do you think
it's not
Atiku,
necessary for the candidate to have money
but do you
to
think,
fund
do you
the
think
campaign.
Atiku is popular enough and has the other potential that you've said?
Atiku, for me, he has that popularity, but his acceptability for now is still questionable.
So he doesn't have
because
a chance.
of his past record.
But does he have a chance?
He has the chance to emerge as the ADC flag bearer.
Does he have the chance to emerge as the president of the nation, Nigeria?
I wouldn't know. It is the Nigerian electorate, the Nigerian public, that will decide who and who is going to be their president in 2027.
Would you vote Atiku?
But there is one thing I've discovered, that Nigerians want a change.
But would you vote, maybe we want a change. Would you vote Atiku for a change?
That's my own privacy. And I cannot divulge my privacy on air.
So that means many Nigerians should not even say where they belong to, right?
For now, you can choose to say it out. But for me, let me wait till the day of election.
I think that would be a bit too late to decide whether...
No, before election, I know who and who to vote for.
Anyway, if you want to claim the views is personal or private, it's okay.
But there is one thing Atiku said too, that APC is trying to plan a plot to destabilize ADC. For now, those who are saying that ADC happen to be a formidable opposition, they have right to their own opinion too. But for now, you know, ADC for now does not have a senator. They don't have a member of the House of Representatives. They don't have a governor.
So that takes us to the next conversation, especially on the print as well. Jonathan met with PDP leaders. Turaki was there, and there were conversations about if the convention that took place was viable, was potent, and then if INEC was doing its due diligence to do what it's supposed to do and not being partisan. There were a lot of conversations. I saw the video, and it was quite a big one to really unravel. But let's get to the issue. PDP met with Jonathan. There's been claim speculations. He did not publicly say that, but there were speculations that what could that mean? Because Turaki was saying they wanted to intimate him with all of the run-ins and then what they have been doing, and then the party issues as well. Maybe he can prefer solution. But this is the case. PDP has met with PDP has met with Jonathan, the former president, and it seems like some are saying in some quarters he might be their flag bearer for the 2027 elections.
There is one thing on ground, and it's a controversy, a legal controversy, that based on the Nigerian constitution, you cannot be sworn in twice. Jonathan was sworn in as president to complete the term of late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. Then again, he was also sworn in 2011, if you remember. Twice. You cannot be sworn in as president for more than 2 times.
Is it you cannot?
So it's a legal controversy.
But yes, that's exactly it. So because some would claim, is it a concern of being sworn in or running for presidency?
The law is the law. The law is supreme. Your constitution is supreme. The American soldier will say, we are not obeying orders because President Donald Trump is the president of the United States. No, we are only obeying the order based on the constitution of the United States of America.
But even at the United States currently, there's been that claims that Trump is doing a lot of things out of the constitution. Even I think US Republican members have met on this issue to debate if it was in his right, if it was in the right of the constitution, according to the US, to, you know, go to Venezuela, for example, and pick up the president. There's been that claim that he's not also agreeing to what you've just said.
But in the United States Constitution, there is the clause for him to apply the executive order. Trump is trying to promote what we call a drug-free American society.
But we'll still get to that conversation.
So he decided to go to the source.
Let's
that was why he decided to go to Venezuela. Venezuela is also planning to go to Cuba.
We'll still get to that conversation.
Too.
So let's talk about Jonathan and PDP that we are trying to spotlight to see what exactly is the case with. Do you think, okay, maybe you think or you're suggesting that Turaki and other PDP members of that faction are not in their right state of consciousness to say it should be their presidential candidate, or it will be flouting the rules by doing that?
It's not good for us to flout the rules. What does the Constitution say? You cannot be sworn in more than 2 times.
Well, I don't
That
have
is what the Constitution is saying.
I don't have
Jonathan has been sworn in as president twice. So that is the issue I have with the legal profession. There is one thing I like about mathematics. 1 + 1 is 2 all over the world. But there has been controversial judgment in law. If I was a law student, I would have decided to be a constitutional lawyer. And my PhD thesis will be centered on the Nigerian Constitution. That would have been my thesis.
But there are a lot of
that
theses.
is what I want to call controversial clauses.
There are a lot of clauses like that, but maybe thesis like that as well. Some would have done some jobs on that and maybe some research on that as well to probably prove that. But let's.
So that was why I don't want to comment on the issue of Jonathan, whether he should contest or not, because there is an issue on ground, a legal controversy that you cannot be sworn in more than 2 times. And this man we are talking about has been sworn in for twice now. The issue of Jonathan, when you are saying, is Jonathan a sellable candidate? True, he's a sellable candidate. Do you understand? But there is one thing you must know about Jonathan. He's a weak president and also a fearful president.
You called him that?
Weak and fearful.
Why do you call him?
Yes, he was a weak and fearful president. That was why he lost that election.
In your opinion?
I have my right to my own opinion. A weak and fearful president cannot rule Nigeria.
How come?
Let me give you an example. He was the president, but he was not in charge of the presidency. It was always Dame Patient Jonathan.
Ah, well.
That was why people like Sheikh Ahmad Gumi was not happy during Jonathan's regime. He said it has always been Dame Patient Jonathan. Nigerians voted for President Goodluck Jonathan. But the impatient Jonathan was in charge of the presidency.
I mean, that's an allegation.
But when you are talking about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he's in charge of the presidency. When Muhammadu Buhari was in power, he was not in charge of the presidency. It was Abba Kyari, of blessed memory. When Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was the president of Nigeria, he was in charge of the presidency. We want people that are in charge of the presidency, not de facto leaders.
But exactly, yes. If I may come in now, Ofinno, one thing is sure: if you say it was a weak president,
weak and fearful,
like you called him. But let's think about Turaki and the PDP leaders. Are you trying to say what they are trying to do, especially in promoting, a Goodluck Jonathan for their presidency? Are you trying to say they are not conscious of what has been happening, or of that state that you called him? Because if you are saying, it seems you are the only person saying that as well. Because the PDP is not seeing it that way. They want him to be the flag bearer. You are saying it was a weak. So
and fearful president.
How do you promote a weak? How can anybody promote a weak president?
Let me give you an instance. Niccolo Machiavelli made an assertion, and what did he say in his book, the book he wrote, The Prince? He said, politicians are typically held in low esteem because they are perceived to be power-seeking hypocrites who conceal personal ambition and hide behind the rhetorics of public service. Now, the other time I was telling you that we play what we call Tom and Jerry politics in this country, the hide-and-seek game. They just want to use Jonathan just to ensure that Nigerians can be willing to vote for him the second time again.
I mean, I'm not sure that would be correct. They are not using him to know whether they want
They
him
are
to
just
help
using
them so they can win.
They want to use Jonathan as a pawn.
You think they don't have
That
interest?
was betrayal of trust.
You think they don't have interest in
I
becoming the
said
president?
there was betrayal of trust. You are talking about Taminu Turaki. Has he been able to reconcile the warring faction in PDP? Charity begins at home. PDP as a political party has failed Nigerians in the area of playing the role of the opposition. That was why a third force emerged. And what is the third force? The ADC, African Democratic Congress. I'm not campaigning for them. A lot of big wigs have left PDP and they have decided to join the ADC. So people are seeing ADC as a formidable opposition party. But now the question is this: is ADC a credible alternative? Those are the moral questions Nigerians should ask. Is ADC a credible alternative? Nigerians want a change. Some Nigerians are tired about APC. But is ADC a credible alternative?
Let's exfoliate this just a little more. Yes, I want to get your opinion. Who do you think it would be best to put on the platform of the PDP to contest for presidency? From your own estimation, from what you've seen, the projections and everything
I'm a public affairs analyst.
You can decide. You can also make a claim. Just like you said, you can make an opinion.
I cannot make a claim for any political party or for an individual.
Because if
my name will still remain Ignatius Eboseluime Ofinno.
Here's why.
I'm different from President Goodluck Jonathan. What I can say about Jonathan is this: he was a weak and fearful president. That was why he lost the presidency.
Well, anybody can lose a presidency owing to many reasons. And it's not just because.
Let me give you an example. It will be very difficult for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to lose the presidency in 2027. Because he is a master strategist.
You didn't want to make a claim on Jonathan, but you're making a claim for the president.
No, I'm not making a claim.
You've just made one.
We are talking about someone that is strong versus someone that is weak. Someone that is confident versus someone that is fearful.
I think that would
Nigeria need a radical leader that will introduce radical reforms.
So you think Tinubu
that will fight corruption to a standstill. A socialist leader, not a capitalist leader.
So you think Tinubu is doing that effectively?
I wouldn't know. Nigerians are the rightful judges.
That's exactly why I want you to help Nigerians. You seem to have a body of knowledge that is okay. Let's have this kind of leader because these are the kind of leaders that will help us. Propose a kind of leader that Nigerians can vouch for.
I cannot choose for Nigerians.
But you are making claims that Tinubu is doing excellently well.
I'm not saying that. That is not what I'm saying.
You've asserted that you've implied that in your statement.
No, that is not what I'm trying to say. Nigerians are in the best position to say if Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is actually is doing well, especially in his policy reform. Then in the issue of power infrastructure, they have to decide. In the issue of security, they have to decide. In the issue of running the economy, they have to decide. I'm not the one to say the president is performing or underperforming.
But you just said...
I just have a one vote. My vote is one.
You've just said a former president did not perform well. Meanwhile, the same president...
No, I'm not saying that he did not perform well. He was a weak and fearful president.
A weak and a fearful president.
We are talking about his economic reforms. His economic reforms were good. But Jonathan lost it out because they discovered that he was a weak and fearful president. What they did to Jonathan, can they try it with Obasanjo? Can they try it with Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Let us be honest to ourselves.
I'm saying this because we've seen many presidents lose elections, and it was not owing to the fact that they were weak or they were fragile.
Which of the Nigerian sitting president lost the election? A sitting president.
Buhari once lost.
No, as a sitting president. Jonathan was the first.
For that same thing that you said.
Jonathan was the first.
Let me also bring it to your
consciousness. Shagari never lost as a sitting president. He was overthrown by the military.
Ofinno, let me bring it to your consciousness that just after he left office, A United Nations organization gave him a Peace Laureate Award. And that's talking about the person you are calling a weak president.
Weak and fearful.
How come United Nations
Because he was weak and fearful.
What bodies, what governing bodies?
PDP to lose that election. In the first instance, Jonathan was an opportunist.
You think so?
He was an opportunist. He was a lucky person. Who imposed it on Nigerians? It was Chief Olusegun Obasanjo GCF that imposed Umaru Musa Yar'Adua and Jonathan. Why was Jonathan appointed as the vice president? Just to douse the tension in the Niger Delta that has become a volatile region.
But he became a president again after that lock.
Why did he become a president? Because of the death of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua.
And then he continued.
You know that Umaru Musa Yar'Adua was a diplomatic president. He was the one that introduced what we call amnesty for the militants of the Niger Delta. He was the one also who approved 13% derivation for the people of the Niger Delta. He also established the Ministry of Niger Delta. So he has been a friend of the Niger Delta. It was just unfortunate that death took him. If not for the death of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, Jonathan will never have become a president. And Umaru Musa Yar'Adua will have ruled for 80 years. The game will not have changed. And mind you, if not for the death of Yar'Adua, we would have been running a one-party state in Nigeria.
Now, are we running?
Under PDP.
Are we not running it now?
No, we would have been running a one-party state. Under PDP, if not for the death of Umaru Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory. Now, so the game changed.
Let's take, because for want of time, we are pressed for time. So we have to do just, as fast as we can now. So there's a report from Arewa leaders saying that they will not endorse any presidential candidate. There's been claims that PDP, or APC particularly, is trying to get to Abba Kabir Yusuf, the governor of Kano State as well. Because if you understand Kano State to be the Omas of the northern region, 1, 2, they have the most local government areas. You will say 44, and the next person is Katsina. The next state, is Katsina with 34 local government areas. And they also have the number. So if Kano State is also having the number, and we know that everybody's trying to, so there's been claims that the governor, Abba Kabir Yusuf, will move or defect to APC because he's currently in the NNPP. So there's been claims about that as well. So Arewa leaders have just come out to say they will not endorse any presidential candidate. What do you make of this?
We have to be fair and sincere to ourselves. Endorsing a candidate is not democratic. Let the good people of Nigeria choose based on free will, based on conviction, not imposition. We don't want religious endorsement of any kind. We don't want tribal endorsement of any kind. It's undemocratic. Let the people choose. A dad can decide to vote for party A, while the mom decides to vote for party B. The son can decide to vote for party C. Daughter can decide to vote for party D. At the end of the day, INEC will now collect the result. Any of the party with the highest what? Result or score will be declared the winner, not imposition.
But endorsement is not imposition.
It's imposition.
I can endorse you and not impose on people.
It's imposition.
I can formulate an opinion that this person is good, and that's not imposition.
It's imposition.
So you think Arewa,
you know that is what we call indoctrination? I can be indoctrinated. That is the issue with religious ideology. Indoctrination.
So you think Arewa leaders are imposing people on their people?
Yes! That is what they have been doing over the years. So this time around they said no. There should be what? Open doors.
Okay, I think we need to take just one story about new tax reform. Federal government came out to say, to denounce National Association of Nigerian Students members and leaders to say this will not affect tuition. It seems this administration is quite intentional about education. We've seen what they've done, especially with the strike that was supposed to happen.
I remember there was a video I listened to and watched when the president was making his own suggestion to President Muhammadu Buhari. You know what he said? Slow down the economy, reduce the purchasing power, increase the tax net. So the president himself is a capitalist to the core. He knows how to generate revenue for the country through tax. You can see monthly allocation to state has been increased and to local government. But the life of the ordinary Nigerians have never been transformed.
Maybe that's the issue of government.
That is
of
why
state government, not the president.
There is poor governance. That is why the president is indirectly trying the Nigerian people. Ask your governors the question. What are you doing with our money? It's not the president that is at fault now. It has always been the state governors that has been at fault. The state governors, they are not in support of financial autonomy for the local government. They are not in support. The so-called governors that we have in this country, I see them as being the enemy of the people. Because now, there has been increase in monthly allocation. But what are they actually doing with that money? Has it changed the life of the ordinary Nigerians living on the streets? So there is a problem on ground. I believe in transparency. When we are talking about public governance, it's based on what? Service delivery to the people. And there must be what we call responsibility, transparency, and what? Accountability. If EFCC want to do their job, most of this current governor, when they leave office, they should be in jail. I'm telling you, there has been an increase in monthly allocation, but yet the life of the ordinary Nigerians is not being transformed.
But some have said
that is why the president is being worried. The president is worried. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is worried.
But we've seen government.
That was why I said this time around, I'm going to use executive order. If you remember, he said it in December that in 2026 I may use executive order.
Local government.
Yes. To implement that financial autonomy for the local government. People will not be saying the president is an autocrat. Is he an autocrat? No.
Let's draw it back. Let's draw it back to education. This seems to be like a good way because we saw NANT members celebrating and they were happy about the fact that the tax would not affect, tuition hikes and all of that.
The student union government that I know was founded upon the Marxist ideal. It's a socialist movement, not a capitalist movement. The current National Association of Nigerian Students we are having presently, all of them are capitalists. Greed is the basis of capitalism. The Nigerian Educational Loan Fund, was what triggered hike in tuition fees. We have a lot of dropout in our universities and polytechnic now, and higher and tertiary institutions. We have a lot of dropout now. Some people that cannot be able to pay for their tuition fee anymore, they have left school.
So you think NANS is socialist?
They were supposed to be a socialist movement, not a capitalist movement, because greed is the basis of capitalism. Now, look at what happened. When they introduced NER fund, at the end of the day, there was hike in tuition fees. ASU did not say anything about it. How many of us today can afford to pay our tuition fee? And this was what Baba Awolowo, the late political sage, saw. He said you must give each and every one of us what we call equal opportunity. Is there equal opportunity now? It is only students that are rich that can afford to pay their tuition fee. So whatever NAS is saying for now, they are saying it on their own because they have already betrayed the union struggle when it came to the issue of NER fund. What they would have done, tell the federal government, is this: fund the universities. The issue of NER fund should be optional, but there should be a benchmark when it comes to the issue of tuition fee. Tuition fee should not be more than probably 100,000, and there must be flexibility of payment that students can pay probably 3 or 4 times, and also be allowed to write their exam.
Ofinno, you've made valid points. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so of course we'll now take a break now, and when we come back, the big story comes up live. Stay with us and don't go nowhere.